sister told me she ran the house and I was just the girlfriend. She went nuts when we got engaged. I started dating my boyfriend Owen 2 years ago. We met at a friend's barbecue and talked for 3 hours straight about everything and nothing. He asked me out the next day and we've been together ever since. Owen is kind and hardworking and treats me better than anyone I've ever dated. He owns a 3-bedroom house he bought before we met. He worked overtime for years to afford the down payment and he's proud of what he built. The only complication in our relationship is his sister Noreen. She moved in with Owen 5 years ago after her divorce. She was supposed to stay for a few months while she got back on her feet. 5 years later, she's still there. She doesn't pay rent. She doesn't contribute to utilities. She occasionally buys groceries, but only things she likes. Owen lets her stay because she's his sister and he feels guilty that her marriage fell apart. I understood that at first. Family is important and I didn't want to come between them. But Noreen made it clear from the beginning that she saw me as a threat. The first time I stayed over at Owen's house, Noreen watched me like I was a burglar casing the place. She asked how long I'd been dating her brother. She asked what I did for work and how much I made. She asked if I had my own place or if I was looking to move in with someone. Every question felt like an interrogation. When I left the next morning, she told Owen I seemed nice, but something about me felt off. He told me about it later thinking it was funny. I didn't laugh. Over the next year, Noreen escalated her behavior. She rearranged things after I cleaned. She cooked elaborate meals on nights Owen and I had dinner plans so he'd feel guilty leaving. She interrupted us constantly when we watched movies or talked in the living room. She knocked on his bedroom door at random hours with questions that could have waited until morning. She made sure I never forgot she lived there too. Owen asked me to move in after 18 months together. I was excited until I realized Noreen wasn't going anywhere. Owen said she just needed a little more time. He said she was almost ready to get her own place. He said I needed to be patient because she was family. I agreed to move in because I loved him and I believed things would work out. The day I brought my first box of belongings to the house, Noreen pulled me aside. Owen was outside getting more boxes from my car. She stood in front of me in the hallway and spoke quietly so only I could hear. She told me this was her house. She said she'd been here for 5 years and I was just the girlfriend. She said Owen might own the property but she ran the household. She said I could stay in his bedroom but the rest of the house was her territory. She said if I tried to change anything or push her out, she would make my life miserable. Then she smiled and walked away like nothing happened. I stood there holding a box of my books trying to understand what just occurred. The next 6 months were exactly what Noreen promised. Miserable. She criticized everything I did. She complained that I used too much hot water. She said my cooking smelled up the kitchen. She rearranged the groceries I bought so I couldn't find anything. She took over the living room television every evening and refused to share. She told Owen I was messy even though I cleaned constantly. She told him I was rude to her even though I barely spoke to her. She cried to him about feeling pushed out of her own home even though nobody was pushing her anywhere. Owen always defended me when we talked privately, but he never stood up to Noreen directly. He said she was sensitive. He said she was still recovering from her divorce. He said I needed to give her grace. I gave her 6 months of grace. Then I stopped. I started by reclaiming space. Noreen had spread her belongings throughout the entire house like she was marking territory. I gathered everything of hers that was in common areas and put it neatly in her bedroom. When she complained, I told Owen I was just organizing. He thought that was reasonable. She couldn't argue without admitting she'd taken over rooms that weren't hers. Then I started cooking dinner every night. Noreen used to cook whenever she wanted Owen's attention, but now I got there first. I made his favorite meals and had them ready when he got home from work. Noreen tried competing, but Owen said he felt bad eating twice. She had to eat her meals alone while we ate together. Then I took over household management. I created a chore schedule and posted it on the refrigerator. I included Noreen on the list because she lived there rent-free and should contribute something. She threw a fit and said I had no right to assign her tasks. I told Owen it was only fair since I was contributing more than her despite moving in 5 years later. He agreed and told Noreen she needed to help out. That was the first time he ever set a boundary with her. Noreen started slipping. She couldn't handle having rules. She skipped her assigned chores and I pointed it out calmly. She made passive-aggressive comments and I responded with aggressive politeness. She tried to get Owen alone to complain about me and I made sure we spent most of our time together. I wasn't fighting with her. I was just taking up space she assumed was hers forever. The breaking point came when Owen mentioned we'd been talking about getting engaged. Full story on channel. Link below.